From translation, NIV New International Version. This 87th day of the year. Today we are reading passages 1 Samuel 4 to 8. 1 Samuel chapter 4, verses 1 to 22. And Samuel's word came to all Israel. The Israelites went out to fight against the Philistines, camped at Ebenezer, and the Philistines camped at Aphek. The Philistines deployed their forces to meet Israel, and as the battle spread, Israel was defeated by the Philistines, who killed about 4,000 of them on the battlefield. When the soldiers returned to camp, the elders of Israel asked, "Why did the Lord bring defeat upon us today before the Philistines? Let us bring the ark of the Lord's covenant from Shiloh, so that it may go with us and save us from the hand of our enemies." So the people sent men to Shiloh, and they brought back the ark of the covenant of the Lord Almighty, who is enthroned between the cherubim. And Eli's 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of God. When the ark of the Lord's covenant came into the camp, all Israel raised such a great shout that the ground shook. Hearing the uproar, the Philistines asked, "What's all this shouting in the Hebrew camp?" When they learned that the ark of the Lord had come into the camp, they were afraid. "A god has come into the camp," they said. "We're doomed. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Woe to us! Who will deliver us from the power of these mighty gods? These are the gods who struck the Egyptians with all kinds of plagues in the wilderness. Be strong, Philistines. Fight like men, or you'll become slaves to the Hebrews as they have been slaves to you. Fight." So the Philistines fought, and the Israelites were defeated, and every man fled to his tent. The slaughter was very great. Israel lost 30,000 foot soldiers. The ark of God was captured, and Eli's 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, died. That same day a Benjamite ran from the battle line and went to Shiloh, with his clothes torn and dust on his head. When he arrived, there was Eli sitting on his chair by the roadside, trembling because of the news. The man had come to tell how the battle had gone, and Eli was trembling as he waited for the report. The man said to Eli, "I have just come from the battle line. I fled from it this day." Eli asked, "What happened, my son?" The man who brought the news replied, "Israel has fled before the Philistines, and the army has suffered heavy losses. Also your 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God has been captured." When he mentioned the ark of God, Eli fell backward off his chair by the side of the gate. His neck was broken and he died, for he was old and heavy. He had led Israel 40 years. The man who brought the news had mentioned the ark of God, and Eli fell backward off his chair and died when he heard the news that the ark of God had been captured, and that his 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were dead. His daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, was pregnant and near the time of delivery. When she heard the news that the ark of God had been captured, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she went into labor and her pains came upon her. As she was dying, the women attending her said, "Don't despair, you have a son." But she did not respond or pay any attention. She named the boy Ichabod, saying, "The glory has departed from Israel, because the ark of God had been captured, and because of her father-in-law and husband." She said, "The glory has departed from Israel, for the ark of God has been captured." Then she said, "The glory has departed from Israel, for the ark of God has been captured." 1 Samuel chapter 5, verses 1 to 11. After the Philistines had captured the ark of God, they took it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. They carried the ark of God into the temple of Dagon, and set it beside Dagon. When the people of Ashdod rose early the next morning, there was Dagon, fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. They took Dagon and put him back in his place. But the following morning when they rose, there was Dagon, fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord, with only his left arm and the base of his tail left. His 2 arms had been broken off and lay on the threshold. That is why to this day, neither the priests of Dagon nor any others who enter Dagon's temple at Ashdod step on the threshold. The Lord's hand was heavy on the people of Ashdod and its vicinity. He brought devastation upon them and afflicted them with tumors. When the people of Ashdod saw what was happening, they said, "The ark of the God of Israel must not stay here with us, because his hand is heavy on us and on Dagon our God." So they called together all the rulers of the Philistines and asked them, "What shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel?" They answered, "Have the ark of the God of Israel moved to Gath." And so they moved the ark of the God of Israel to Gath. But after they had moved it, the Lord's hand was against that city with a great devastation. He afflicted its people with tumors, both young and old. So they sent the ark to Ekron. As the ark of God was entering Ekron, the people of Ekron cried out, "They have brought the ark of the God of Israel around to us to kill us and our people." So they called together all the rulers of the Philistines and said, "Send the ark of the God of Israel away. Let it go back to its own place, or it will kill us and our people." For death and panic had swept through the city. The hand of God was very heavy there. Those who did not die were afflicted with tumors, and the outcry of the city went up to heaven. 1 Samuel chapter 6, verses 1 to 21. The ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners and said, "What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Tell us how we should send it back to its place." They answered, "If you return the ark of the God of Israel, do not send it away empty, but by all means send a guilt offering to him. Then you will be healed, and you will know why his hand has not been removed from you." The Philistines asked, "What guilt offering should we send to him?" They replied, 5 gold tumors and 5 gold rats, according to the number of Philistine rulers, because the same plague has struck you and your rulers. Make models of the tumors and of the rats that are destroying the country, and give glory to the Israel's God. Perhaps he will lift his hand from you and your gods and your land. Why do you stiffen your heart as the Egyptians and Pharaoh did? When he treated them harshly, did they not send the Israelites out so they could go on their way? Now then, get a new cart ready, with 2 cows that have calved and have never been yoked. Hitch the cows to the cart, and take their calves away from them. Take the ark of the Lord and put it on the cart, and in a chest beside it put the gold objects you are sending back to him as a guilt offering. Send it on its way. But if you do not send it back, be sure that you can never rid yourselves of this guilt. The hand of the Lord is heavy on you, your fathers and your brothers. So they did this. They took 2 such cows, and hitched them to the cart, and pennied up their calves at home. They put the ark of the Lord on the cart, and along with it the chest containing the gold rats and the models of the tumors. Then the cows went straight up toward Beit Shemesh, keeping on the road and lowing as they went. They did not turn to the right or to the left. The rulers of the Philistines followed them as far as the border of Beit Shemesh. The people of Beit Shemesh were harvesting their wheat in the valley. When they looked up and saw the ark, they rejoiced at the sight. The cart came to the field of Joshua of Beit Shemesh, and there it stopped. A large stone was there, and they cut up the wood of the cart and offered the cows as a burnt offering to the Lord. The Levites removed the ark of the Lord, together with the chest containing the gold objects, and placed them on the large stone. Then the men of Beit Shemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrifices to the Lord that day. When the 5 Philistine rulers saw this, they returned that day to Ekron. But these are the gold tumors the Philistines sent as a guilt offering to the Lord. 1 for Ashdod, 1 for Gaza, 1 for Ashkelon, 1 for Gath, 1 for Ekron. And the gold rats were according to the number of Philistine rulers, the fortified cities with their surrounding villages. The large stone on which they set the ark of the Lord is a witness to this day in the field of Joshua of Beit Shemesh. But God struck some of the men of Beit Shemesh, putting 70 of them to death because they looked inside the ark of the Lord. The people mourned because of the strike the Lord had inflicted on them. And the men of Beit Shemesh asked, "Who can stand in the presence of the Lord, this holy God? To whom will the ark of the Lord go up now?" Then they sent messengers to the people of Kiriath-Jearim, saying, "The Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. Come down and take it up to your place." 1 Samuel chapter 7, verses 1 to 17. So the men of Kiriath-Jearim came and took up the ark of the Lord. They carried it to Abinadab's house on the hill, and consecrated Eleazar his son to guard the ark of the Lord. The ark remained at Kiriath-Jearim a long time, 20 years in all. Then all the people of Israel mourned and sought the Lord. And Samuel said to all the Israelites, "If you are returning to the Lord with all your hearts, then rid yourselves of the foreign gods and the Ashtoreths, and commit yourselves to the Lord and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines." So the Israelites put away the Baals and the Ashtoreths and served the Lord only. Then Samuel said, "Assemble all Israel at Mizpah, and I will intercede with the Lord for you." When they had assembled at Mizpah, they drew water and poured it out before the Lord. On that day they fasted, and there they confessed, "We have sinned against the Lord." And Samuel was leader of Israel at Mizpah. When the Philistines heard that Israel had assembled at Mizpah, the rulers of the Philistines came up to attack them. But when the Israelites heard of it, they were afraid of the Philistines. They said to Samuel, "Do not stop crying out to the Lord our God for us, that he may rescue us from the hand of the Philistines." Then Samuel took a suckling lamb and sacrificed it as a whole burnt offering to the Lord. He cried out to the Lord on Israel's behalf, and the Lord answered him. While Samuel was sacrificing the burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to engage Israel in battle. But that day the Lord thundered with loud thunder against the Philistines, and threw them into confusion, and they were routed before Israel. The men of Israel rushed out from Mizpah and pursued the Philistines, slaughtering them along the way to a point below Beit-Kar. Then Samuel took a stone and set it up between Mizpah and Shen. He named it Ebenezer, saying, "Thus far the Lord has helped us." So the Philistines were subdued, and they stopped invading Israel's territory. Throughout Samuel's lifetime, the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines. The towns from Ekron to Gath that the Philistines had captured from Israel were restored to Israel, and Israel delivered them from the control of the Philistines. There was peace between Israel and the Amorites. Samuel continued as judge over Israel all the days of his life. Year after year he went on a circuit from Bethel to Gilgal to Mizpah, judging Israel in all those places. But he always went back to Ramah, where his home was, and there he also judged Israel. And he built an altar to the Lord there. 1 Samuel chapter 8, verses 1 to 22. When Samuel grew old, he appointed his sons as judges for Israel. The name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second was Abijah, and they served at Beersheba. But his sons did not walk in his ways. They turned aside after dishonest gain and accepted bribes and perverted justice. So all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah. They said to him, "You are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint a king to lead us, such as all the other nations have." But when they said, "Give us a king to lead us," this displeased Samuel, so he prayed to the Lord. And the Lord told him, "Listen to all that the people are saying to you. It is not you they have rejected, but they have rejected me as their king, as they have done from the day I brought them up out of Egypt until this day, forsaking me and serving other gods, so they are doing to you. Now listen to them. But warn them solemnly, and let them know what the king who will reign over them will do." Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people who were asking him for a king. He said, "This is what the king who will reign over you will do. He will take your sons and make them serve with his chariots and horses, and they will run in front of his chariots. He will appoint commanders of thousands and commanders of 50s for his chariots and his horsemen, and for running before his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers, cooks, and bakers. He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves, and give them to his attendants. He will take 1/10 of your grain and of your vintage, and give it to his officials and attendants. Your menservants and maidservants, and the best of your cattle and donkeys, he will take for his own use. He will take 1/10 of your flocks, and you yourselves will become his slaves. When that day comes, you will cry out for relief from the king you have chosen, but the Lord will not answer you." But the people refused to listen to Samuel. "No," they said, "we want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations, with a king to lead us and to go out before us and fight our battles." When Samuel heard all that the people said, he repeated it before the Lord. The Lord answered, "Listen to them and give them a king." Then Samuel said to the men of Israel, "Everyone go back to your town."